Chapter 11. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The system's voice was flat. Are you sure you want to drop 30,000 villain points on a random spirit beast egg? Chin Ting pressed. Is there a range to the random part? Nope. Random is random, the system replied. Chin Ting followed up. How long before it hatches? Also random. Chin Ting paused, annoyed. The system repeated. So, confirm the exchange. Chin Ting considered it. Those 30,000 points weren't doing much good, and he'd likely rake in more at the Lianyan Mountains. Confirm. A flash of light, and a spirit beast egg materialized in his hand. He examined it closely. Strange lines crisscrossed its surface, and it pulsed with a faint, unusual aura. He gently traced the lines and called out, Nyayu. Nyayu appeared instantly, bowing low. Sir. Chin Ting handed him the egg. Put this in the greenhouse. Warm it daily with Jianxiang Nuanyu. Jianxiang Nuanyu was a rare treasure, prized for its calming and stabilizing effects. Normally, it was used to help powerful cultivators break through to new levels. A small piece could cause chaos, with divine wheel and supernatural power experts fighting over it. Even Shantai realm masters would kill for some, but Chin Ting was using it to incubate an egg. That was his advantage. He wasn't just a true disciple of the Shantian sect, but also the young master of the Qin clan. The Qin family was a big deal in the eastern wilderness, a top-tier cultivation family as powerful as some holy lands. As young master, Chin Ting had access to all their resources. Nyayu didn't know where the egg came from, but he took it respectfully. Understood. His master was full of surprises, but as Chin Ting's loyal follower, he didn't question it. He just did what he was told. A few days later, someone from the sect arrived, Zhou Qianji, an inner sect elder. He held a powerful position, a deacon elder. He was also a Shantai realm veteran, well known throughout the eastern wilderness. Elder Zhou, usually stoic, was all smiles as he greeted Chin Ting. Disciples would have been shocked to see it. Nephew Qin reached the supernatural power realm at 18, Elder Zhou chuckled. Unheard of. I wasn't even close until I was nearly 50. It's a bit embarrassing, frankly. Chin Ting smiled. Just luck. Humble too. Elder Zhou laughed. I hear you're considering a trip to the Lianyan Mountains. Chin Ting nodded. Thinking about it. Perfect timing, Elder Zhou said. Things have been stirring there lately, could be a rare treasure about to pop. We're sending disciples, but we need someone to lead them. How about you do us the favor? He didn't mention Song Chang'e, acting as if the person did not exist. Of course, Chin Ting replied. They chatted a bit longer before Elder Zhou left, reminding the importance of his position and his usual schedule. Chin Ting saw him to the gate, where Elder Zhou casually mentioned, heard Elder Zhang from the law enforcement hall got demoted for breaking the rules. What a surprise. Chin Ting returned the smile. Quite a shock, indeed. They exchanged a few more words, then Elder Zhou departed. Nyayu, grinning behind Chin Ting, said, even Elder Zhou's kissing up to you now. Looks like nothing can stop you from becoming the Holy Son. Chin Ting dismissed the compliment. How's Song Chang'e doing? He's awake, Nyayu said. But he's done for. The sect already announced he's no longer a true disciple. Elder Zhang deposed, Song Chang'e removed. Chin Ting knew it was the sect's way of compensating him for their plot. He thought a moment. What's the reaction from Yuri Peak? Song Chang'e was from Yuri Peak, so his removal was a blow to them. When Song Chang'e held the position of a true disciple, resources within the sect flowed towards Yuri Peak. But now that Song Chang'e had been removed from the list, Yuri Peak was no longer able to enjoy the various benefits of the true disciples. It could be said that it had suffered heavy losses. Nyayu sneered. After the sect's decision, Li Zhenren immediately went into seclusion. The old codger saw things weren't going his way and decided to play dead. Some divine palace realm master. Pathetic. Chin Ting shook his head and moved on. He doubted he'd ever see Song Chang'e or Elder Zhang again. Chapter 12. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qin Yoga turned around and immediately saw Zhou Pingyue. Zhou Pingyue gave Qin Ting a slight bow. Hope I'm not intruding, showing up like this. Senior sister, don't be silly. I'm always happy to see you. Please, come on in, Qin Ting said, smiling warmly. He gestured. This way, senior sister Zhou. Niayu bowed respectfully and backed away. Qin Ting's Taishu Peak was enormous, with tons of palaces and buildings. Next to the serene lake in the garden center, there was a natural stone table and chairs. Someone had already brewed tea, and the fresh aroma was drifting through the air. They sat down and exchanged pleasantries. I've heard Taishu Peak is a little slice of heaven. Seeing it now, it really lives up to the hype, Zhou Pingyue said, looking around with a smile. I'm totally envious. It wasn't just a compliment. Qin Ting's Taishu Peak was overflowing with spiritual energy and all sorts of rare plants and creatures. It wasn't just top tier among the true disciples, it outshone most of the elders' sacred grounds too. Qin Ting smiled and sidestepped the comment. I haven't properly thanked you yet, senior sister Zhou. He didn't specify what he was thanking her for, but Zhou Pingyue knew it was for her heads up about Feng Qianhan at the sword competition a few days earlier. Zhou Pingyue smiled. Feng Qianhan's always been a cocky jerk. He had it coming. She then took a closer look at Qin Ting. She'd always known he was talented, but felt she was his match. But at the sword forum, he'd casually trounced Song Chang'e and then taken down Elder Zhang with a single blow. He'd been impressive. Supreme level, even reaching the supernatural power stage at 18. It was then she realized how extraordinary he was, piquing her curiosity. The Qin Ting before her wasn't just some noble kid, he was the real deal. His elegant clothes flowed around him, his every gesture captivating. He had a magnetic presence, a sense of commanding the world that was beyond her comprehension. Every movement of his seemed infused with an indescribable grace, in harmony with the Tao and nature, radiating mystery, the true master. Qin Ting was on another level, and it made Zhou Pingyue, normally so confident, feel a twinge of despair. She was proud of her abilities and Taoist heart, but seeing Qin Ting again, she was blown away. He had broken through to the supernatural power realm just days ago. Although he had a solid foundation, some of his energy leaked out, making those around him uneasy, but now, his aura was contained and refined. If before Qin Ting was like a blade drawn, now he was like a sword in its scabbard, all the more dangerous. Qin Ting then asked, so, what brings you here, senior sister? Zhou Pingyue smiled. I heard you're taking a trip tomorrow. True? Apparently, Qin Ting had visited Li Juning at Linglong Pavilion a few days ago to follow through on their agreement to exchange supernatural powers. However, Li Juning's master, Song Zhenren, had called her away to train in the wonderland of fantasy. She left a message with a maid, inviting him to visit again when she returned. Qin Ting smiled. Yes, I need to get away for a while. Zhou Pingyue said, it gets boring hanging around the sect all the time. I've been thinking of getting out of here myself. How about I tag along on your trip, junior brother? Qin Ting smiled faintly. Since you're interested, senior sister, I'd be happy to have you. Chapter 13. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xiantian Sect, Main Gate. The Xiantian Sect's entrance is a massive, spiritually charged mountain, its peak soaring to an unknown height, like a sword piercing the sky, rising thousands of feet above the clouds. Engraved on the peak are three enormous characters, Xiantian Sect. These words were inscribed by Xiantian himself, the sect's founder, using his immense power. In the square below, a group of young disciples waited, anticipation hanging in the air. These were the chosen ones, heading to the Lianyan Mountains for training. Most were at the Yuan Dan level, with Su Hao, a powerful divine will realm cultivator, leading the pack. Being teenagers, they couldn't contain their excitement for long. Soon, chatter and laughter filled the air as they looked forward to their adventure. Su Hao's voice cut through the noise. Guys, did you hear that the Yuanshi Gate and other holy sites will also be in the Lianyan Mountains during our training? The mood shifted, faces turning serious. Yuanshi Gate, another major cultivation center in the eastern wasteland, had been aggressively absorbing smaller sects, and their disciples were known for being arrogant and overbearing. While both were considered holy grounds, Xiantian sect and Yuanshi Gate were far from friendly, harboring a deep-seated rivalry. This tension was especially evident among the younger generation. Their encounters usually led to minor conflicts, though these clashes were typically limited to lower-level disciples. The underlying animosity between the two factions was palpable. A pretty girl spoke up, her voice laced with worry. "I just reached the Yuan Dan stage. I'm afraid I'll only hold you back if we run into the Yuanshi Gate." "Don't sweat it, junior sister Zhang," someone reassured her. "Senior brother Su is in the divine will realm. He'll definitely protect us." "Yeah, we've got senior brother Su." Others chimed in. Su Hao offered a wry smile. He knew he was strong among his peers, but he wasn't so confident when facing outsiders. "Don't worry," he said. "I'm not actually leading the team this time. The sect is sending a senior disciple to guide us." Suddenly, a figure descended from the sky, landing gracefully in the square. The young disciples immediately recognized him and bowed respectfully. "Greetings, Elder Zhou." That it was Elder Zhou Qianji, the inner sect deacon who had visited Qin Ting just days before. Elder Zhou scanned the group, his expression impassive. "Is everyone present?" Su Hao's heart skipped a beat. He quickly stepped forward, bowing deeply. "Yes, Elder Zhou, everyone's here." "Good," Elder Zhou nodded slightly. "Your team leader will be here shortly. Just wait a moment." "Elder, who is the senior disciple leading us this time?" Su Hao ventured to ask, his curiosity piqued. The others echoed his anticipation, their eyes fixed on Elder Zhou. Elder Zhou glanced at them, a frown creasing his brow. "You'll find out soon enough." Before he could finish, two more figures appeared in the square, a man and a woman. The man wore a purple robe and a gilded crown. The woman, adorned in palace attire, had striking features. It was Qin Ting and Zhou Pingyue. Disbelief washed over Su Hao and the others. They couldn't believe that Qin Ting, the most remarkable young talent in the entire eastern wasteland, was their leader. And with the esteemed Zhou Pingyue by his side, it meant two true disciples were leading them. Elder Zhou, usually so stoic, beamed at Qin Ting, his face crinkling into a wide smile. It was a stark contrast to his previous indifference and left the disciples in shock. "Nephew Qin, you're here." Elder Zhou chuckled. "Well, these incompetent disciples will be in good hands with you." "And is nephew Zhou joining as well?" he asked Zhou Pingyue, his tone curious. Zhou Pingyue smiled. "I've been stuck in the sect for too long, getting a bit restless. Since junior brother Qin is leading a training exercise, I thought I'd tag along and get some fresh air." The male disciples watched Qin Ting and Zhou Pingyue's easy camaraderie with envy. Zhou Pingyue's reputation was widespread, and she was considered a goddess by many in the Xiantian sect. While Li Juning was also stunningly beautiful, her icy demeanor kept most men at bay. Zhou Pingyue had far more admirers. However, Qin Ting's calm composure only deepened their sense of inadequacy. Not only did he come from a privileged background, but he was also strikingly handsome. To top it off, his talent was unmatched, reaching a level that even stifled envy. As for the female disciples, if Zhou Pingyue and Li Juning were the goddesses of the Xiantian sect's male disciples, then Qin Ting had always been the shining ideal of the female disciples. Qin Ting was flawless in every way. His family background was impeccable, the young master of the Qin family, the only son of Emperor Qin, a powerful figure in the Xiantian sect with immense influence. His cultivation was extraordinary. At just 18, he was a magical powerhouse, the most talented individual in the Eastern Wasteland's history, and his appearance. Qin Ting's striking good looks had long earned him the title of the most handsome man in the Eastern Wasteland. How could anyone not fall for someone like that? Chapter 14. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Elder Zhou shot a cold glare at the chattering disciples. Enough with the noise. Get yourselves ready. The sect Sky Wanderer is prepped and ready. The Sky Wanderer was Shentian Sect's standard transport ship. The eastern wasteland was an enormous expanse, teeming with life and kingdoms. Shentian Sect had hundreds of these kingdoms under its protection, each providing resources in exchange for the sect's defense. Shentian Sect also selected promising talents from these lands to join their ranks. Qin Ting also had a kingdom backing him. While ordinary cultivators could fly on their own for short distances, Shentian Sect was located far away in the Cloudvale Mountains. Traveling there independently would take months. Spaceships were ideal for long journeys, offering incredible speed and covering thousands of miles daily. However, their construction was costly, putting them out of reach for smaller sections. Only a cultivation powerhouse like Shentian Sect could afford standard ships like the Sky Wanderer. Qin Ting smiled. No need. The Cloudvale Mountains are quite a distance from the sect. The Sky Wanderer would be too slow. We'll take my Azure Void Tower. The mention of the Azure Void Tower sparked excitement. It was Qin Ting's personal transport, not a sect-issued vessel. Although Shentian Sect provided him with a special sky-traveling boat as a true disciple, it didn't suit his tastes. As the young master of the Qin clan, he possessed a flying tower constructed by his family, the Azure Void Tower. It was not only incredibly luxurious but also faster than the Sky Wanderer. Many had seen Qin Ting traveling in it from afar and were envious. Now, they had the chance to ride it themselves. Wait till my fellow apprentices hear about this. Many were already daydreaming. Elder Zhou looked on with undisguised envy. He had heard tales of the Azure Void Tower. Despite being a powerful figure in the divine platform realm and an inner sect elder of law enforcement with a high status, his sect-allocated spaceship couldn't compare. The Qin family had clearly spared no expense, using rare materials and skilled artisans. It was on a whole other level. Elder Zhou huffed. In that case, shouldn't you thank senior brother Qin? Snapping out of their excitement, the disciples saluted Qin Ting. Thank you, senior brother Qin. Although most were older, Qin Ting's status as a true disciple and a powerhouse in the supernatural realm warranted the title. In this world, strength reigned supreme. Many onlookers were shocked to hear this group would travel on the Azure Void Tower. One disciple lamented, "If I had known, I would have signed up for this Cloudvale Mountains trip. Now I'm missing out on something great." His sentiment was echoed by others. They hadn't been enthusiastic about what they assumed was just an ordinary training trip. But now that Qin Ting was leading the team and offering them a ride on his Azure Void Tower, they regretted their hesitation. Ignoring their grumbling, Qin Ting led everyone to the Cloud Sea Pier, where the Azure Void Tower stood ready for departure. While they had seen it in the distance before, its sheer size still took their breath away. The Azure Void Tower stretched 1,000 feet long and hundreds of feet high. The structures on board resembled a palace complex, with pavilions and gardens, all exquisitely crafted. Thousands of maids and guards lived on the tower, ready to serve Qin Ting on his journeys. This is the true display of wealth and power. Though the disciples behind Qin Ting were ordinary, those who entered Shentian Sect were outstanding individuals. Most came from cultivation families, and some were even royalty, yet, this scene left them in awe. If I could experience this once in my life, I'd die without regrets. Looking at Qin Ting, they felt a sense of deference. The female disciples, in particular, gazed at him with burning desire. Elder Zhou was also slightly stunned, muttering, "A prodigy of the heavens, a true chosen one." Chapter 15. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It had been 2 days since the crew left Shentian Sect aboard the Taiyu flying tower. Qin Ting, looking every bit the elegant nobleman in his purple robes, stood on the deck, hands clasped behind his back, radiating an air of extraordinary confidence. The initial excitement of the flight had worn off for the disciples. These were, after all, some of the brightest minds around, focused and determined. Many seized this opportunity to pick Qin Ting's brain, seeking guidance on their training. Qin Ting didn't act superior. He saw himself as the future head of Shentian Sect, and these disciples were his future strength. He readily answered their questions, clearing up confusing points in their daily practice. He'd give each question a quick think, then deliver his answer, revealing a deep understanding of cultivation that further impressed them. The outer disciples were especially thrilled. Xiantian sect had countless students, too many for individual master-disciple relationships. They fell into categories: disciples, outer disciples, inner disciples, and true disciples. Hundreds of thousands of regular disciples lived on the fringes of Xiantian sect's territory. They'd take on tasks assigned by the sect, earning merit points they could trade for manuals or attend lectures. Their dream was to pass the exam and become outer disciples. The tens of thousands of outer disciples were considered real members of Xiantian sect. Each month, they received training resources and were assigned a lecturer. But each lecturer had hundreds of disciples, making personalized attention impossible. Inner disciples, numbering in the hundreds, were all geniuses. When someone became an inner disciple, elders would compete to take them under their wing, and their access to training resources jumped to a whole new level. Then there were the true disciples. With hundreds of thousands of disciples overall, Xiantian sect had only 7 true disciples, all absolute prodigies. Just then, a female disciple named Zhang spoke up. "Senior brother Qin, I'm still not getting this technique. I'm sorry, I'm just too dense. Could you maybe show me how to do it properly?" Zhou Pingyue rolled her eyes, then chuckled. "Why bother junior brother Qin with such a simple thing? Junior sister Zhang, come with me, and I'll walk you through it." Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at Zhou Pingyue, forced a smile, and said, "I wouldn't want to trouble you, senior sister. I'll just go back and try to figure it out on my own." Zhou Pingyue's smile vanished. Her tone turned icy. "What, does junior sister Zhang look down on me, Zhou Pingyue?" When she smiled, she was all charm. But when she turned cold, the air itself seemed to thicken, suffocating everyone around her. Zhang Xiaoxiao felt her throat tighten. Zhou Pingyue was a true disciple of Xiantian sect, a person of immense status. Even her own master had to be polite around her. Afraid to argue, she stammered, "I'll do whatever senior sister Zhou says." Zhou Pingyue's smile returned. "Good. Come with me, junior sister. I'll be sure to teach you everything you need to know." Watching Zhang Xiaoxiao follow Zhou Pingyue, practically trembling, the other disciples couldn't help but feel sorry for her. Looks like Zhang Xiaoxiao was in for a rough time. After that, no one wanted to bother Qin Ting any further. They all said their goodbyes and headed back to their rooms. Qin Ting shook his head, a bit annoyed. He didn't really care what happened to Zhang Xiaoxiao, as long as she didn't die. He glanced at Niayu. "Come down, I'm going to meditate." Niayu bowed and left. They still had half a month before reaching the Lianyan Mountains, and Qin Ting wasn't about to waste the time. If you're not pushing yourself, someone else is. Cultivation is like swimming upstream. Stop fighting, and you'll get washed away. Qin Ting knew that better than anyone. Chapter 16. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The main hall of Taiyu Faloo served as Qin Ting's personal sanctuary. There, he sat cross-legged on a white jade platform, drawing in deep breaths. Cultivation methods were as boundless as the cosmos, and the right one could supercharge a practitioner's progress. Qin Ting had chosen the Taishan Jing, the Xiantian sect's most sacred text. Legend claimed Xiantian Ren, founder of the sect, originally used it. Its intricacy was such that only the most dedicated disciples could even attempt to master it, but the text was dense and bewildering. Many gifted disciples dreamed of mastering it, of embodying Xuantian's brilliance, but they always had to give up and switch to easier techniques. Over centuries, only 3 members of the Xiantian sect had ever fully mastered it. Each had become a legend, leading the sect to unprecedented heights. Qin Ting was the 4th. Many elders believed he was destined to be the next great leader, to elevate the Xiantian sect to dominance over the eastern wilderness. He focused his energy, channeling it down into his dantian, and his consciousness scanned his body, eventually reaching a divine palace, a hallmark of those who had achieved the supernatural realm. This palace stored spiritual energy and could even hold objects, its size a clear indicator of a cultivator's foundation and potential. For a typical supernatural powerhouse, a 10-mile palace was decent, 100, impressive, 300, extraordinary, and 500, practically unheard of. Qin Ting carefully examined his own. It stretched 1,000 miles. If anyone knew, it would cause a sensation. 1,000-mile divine palace was simply unprecedented. Legend held that Xuantian's own was only 800. Qin Ting's achievement was arguably a historical first, but he wasn't arrogant. To him, 1,000-mile palace felt like the bare minimum. He fully expected to dominate all in the eastern wasteland. His life had been exceptionally smooth. To cultivate him into a champion, Emperor Qin indulged his every whim. Anything Qin Ting wanted, he got. This upbringing had instilled unshakable confidence in him. He was destined for greatness, with an unbreakable resolve. As he recited the Taishan Sutra, his body radiated an aura of immense power. Like a god or demon, his magic nearly solidified, constantly enriching the divine palace, making it even stronger. Having just reached the supernatural realm, his palace was still developing, so this constant nurturing was essential. In just 2 weeks, his divine palace had reached near invincible status, a pace that dwarfed ordinary supernatural powerhouses. Still, he didn't stop there. He continued to refine and perfect his first signature technique. Thanks to his father, Emperor Qin, who had experience with supernatural powers, Qin Ting wasn't limited like others. For outsiders, mastering a single supernatural ability was a monumental feat. Even Song Chang'e, a true disciple, only knew one, the heavenly sword magical power, but Qin Ting was different. Emperor Qin was ready to share all of his powers with Qin Ting, and the Qin family had the famous Jingshou Hall, which contained countless books on magic. The ability that would cause bloody wars in the outside world was only a commonplace thing in Qin Ting's family. Only the greatest masters in the world could create their own unique powers. And Qin Ting had no doubt he could match them. The lightning strike he used to defeat Elder Zhang, for example, was his own creation, Jiantian Jia, or heaven supervising tribulation lightning, but the technique was still a work in progress. He began refining it, his mind buzzing with ideas. A dazzling array of arcane secrets swirled in his eyes as he purified, combined, and interconnected various aspects of thunder magic. Finally, after what seemed like forever, he snapped his eyes open, lightning flashing within them. Thunder has 5 colors. Tribulation is its crown. My first technique will be based on 5-color divine thunder, with the power of tribulation as its core. With a gesture, I'll command the clouds and the rain, heaven supervising tribulation lightning. A punishment from the gods. He exhaled, stretched, and his bones crackled with energy, hinting at the raw power of lightning. A flick of his finger caused a miniature explosion, releasing miniature lightning bolts, like an ancient god of thunder. Heaven supervising tribulation lightning, complete. Just then, Niayu bowed outside the hall. Master, we've arrived at the Lianyan Mountains. Qin Ting stood, his eyes narrowing slightly. Yi Qiu, he thought, let's see what makes you so special, son of fortune. Chapter 17. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Lianyan Mountains are located in the northern part of Donghuang, their peaks so high they pierce the clouds. From afar, they appear connected to the heavens, hence the name Lianyan, connected clouds. Qin Ting emerged from the palace. His fellow disciples were already waiting at the front, eager to see him. As soon as he appeared, they bowed in unison, Senior Brother Qin. They'd all benefited greatly from his recent guidance and were deeply grateful, wanting to see him off. Qin Ting smiled, no need for formalities, everyone. Zhou Pingyue studied Qin Ting, noticing a distinct change. She herself was at the peak of the divine will realm, practically on the verge of breaking through to supernatural powers. She practiced the Shantian sect's most elite techniques and normally didn't give magical powerhouses a second thought, but Qin Ting now emanated a subtle pressure, making it clear he'd achieved a breakthrough during his seclusion. Kaoshan City nestled at the foot of the Lianyan Mountains, named for its proximity to the mountains. Kaoshan City was usually a quiet place. But news of a rare treasure emerging in the Lianyan Mountains had transformed it into a bustling hub. Disciples from renowned sects strode confidently through the streets, while countless independent cultivators hoped to strike it rich. Savvy merchants had already set up stalls, hawking magical herbs, elixirs, and spiritual charms, drawing crowds of curious onlookers and eager buyers. among them was a young man dressed in simple blue robes, with delicate features that gave him the air of a scholar. Despite his frail appearance, he possessed a remarkably composed and approachable demeanor. However, his cultivation and aura betrayed the fact that he was a powerful divine will master. This young man was Yi Qiu. While outwardly examining the wares on a stall, Yi Qiu was inwardly consulting with a voice in his mind. "Master, what kind of secret treasure is causing this spectacle in the Lianyan Mountains?" Yi Qiu asked, idly turning the ring on his finger. An aged voice replied, "The sky is displaying strange phenomena, sunset for half the sky, and burning clouds for 7 days and nights. It's likely one of the strange fires, the Earth Emperor's mysterious fire." Yi Qiu's voice rose with excitement. "If I obtain the Earth Emperor's mysterious fire, could I leap into the realm of supernatural powers?" The old voice responded proudly, "Refining even a lower-grade heavenly jade spiritual fire could propel you from the spiritual movement realm to the Yuan Dan realm. You refined the 37th-ranked Jinling mysterious fire to reach the divine wheel. This Earth Emperor's mysterious fire is ranked 11th. If you can refine it and enter the realm of magical power, it would be a normal thing." Before Yi Qiu could get too excited, the old voice added, "What do you think I'm teaching you? The Heavenly Mysterious Fire Sutra is a supreme classic, comparable to the Xiantian sect's Taishan Sutra." Yi Qiu's initially buoyant mood immediately soured at the mention of the Taishan Sutra. Taishan Sutra. Xiantian sect. Qin Ting. Yi Qiu would never forget the humiliation inflicted upon him by Qin Ting. Even though Lu Susu had supposedly volunteered that day, Yi Qiu still considered it a profound disgrace. If his master hadn't temporarily taken control of his body, he would have died in Qinyue Valley. The old voice belonged to Ling Lao, an ancient being whose soul was fragmented and his power diminished. Forced to reside within a ring, he had encountered Yi Qiu, draining his cultivation to awaken from his slumber. He then took Yi Qiu as his disciple, teaching him the Heavenly Mysterious Fire Sutra. Aware of his blunder, Ling Lao paused, then offered, "It's all right. This time, you will acquire the Earth Emperor's mysterious fire, which is the realm of supernatural powers. You are also extremely talented, and revenge is not far away." Realizing he'd lost his composure, Yi Qiu nodded, "I know, master. Revenge is a dish best served cold." Just then, the sky overhead darkened. Looking up in confusion, Yi Qiu saw a massive airship slowly approaching, dwarfing Kaoshan City. Its sheer size and opulent architecture were momentarily mesmerizing, even to him. Others noticed the spectacle and craned their necks skyward, erupting in excited chatter. A well-informed middle-aged man gasped, "The Taiyu Flying Tower. It's the Taiyu Flying Tower." His words ignited a frenzy. Everyone exclaimed, "What? The Taiyu Flying Tower? It's actually the Taiyu Flying Tower. Xiantian sect's Qin Ting is here. Qin Ting has come to Kaoshan City himself. Yes, it's the Taiyu Flying Tower. I was fortunate enough to see it at the Yaoqi Festival 2 years ago. I never expected to see it again. What luck!" "That's right. The Taiyu Flying Tower is Qin Ting's personal transport. If the Taiyu Flying Tower is here, then Qin Ting must be here as well." Yi Qiu watched the surrounding crowd's enthusiasm with a simmering rage. He muttered, "What's so great about it? He just has a well-connected dad." His words were met with stunned silence. Everyone turned to stare at Yi Qiu as if he were a walking corpse. Chapter 18. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yi Qiu hadn't expected his little rant to cause such a stir. Just then, a young dude in fancy robes scoffed, "Who do you think you are, talking about Qin Ting like that?" Yi Qiu shot back, "Am I wrong? Qin Ting's just riding on his family name. He's arrogant, does whatever he wants, and I'm just trash." The dude sneered again. "That's bull. Qin Ting's a top disciple of the Xiantian sect, their chosen holy son. He's head and shoulders above every young cultivator in the eastern wilderness. He's like a dragon soaring through the heavens, reaching the supernatural realm at 18, a record breaker. You're just an ant. How dare you badmouth him? That even though the dude saw Yi Qiu was at the divine will level, he wasn't worried. He himself was only at the Yuan Dan stage, but he came from an old cultivation family. The 4 guards beside him were all divine will experts, good at fighting as a team. Plus, he had a few tricks up his sleeve. 18 and already in the supernatural realm. Yi Qiu was floored. He'd been holed up in the mountains, so he hadn't heard the news. When Qin Ting broke through, it was all over the eastern wilderness, but Yi Qiu was out of the loop. Seeing Yi Qiu's blank look, everyone around burst out laughing. Where'd this hick crawl out from? He hasn't even heard that Qin Ting hit the magical realm. Ha! Bet he just rolled in from the boonies. Nah, he's probably just dumb, right? Ha ha ha. The laughter stung Yi Qiu. Ashamed and angry, he glared at everyone and turned to stomp off. The crowd only laughed harder as he hurried away. Yi Qiu's heart burned with resentment. He didn't hate the dude, or the people around him. He hated Qin Ting. Qin Ting. Again. You're the reason I felt this awful. I won't let this go. I swear I'll get revenge. Elder Ling seemed to sense Yi Qiu's anger and tried to calm him down. These setbacks are just trials. Anyone who's ever accomplished anything great has gone through hardship. Yi Qiu slowly calmed down, realizing he'd lost it. It was like Qin Ting was his kryptonite, turning him into a hostile mess. He told Elder Ling, "Master, I know my state of mind is a mess." Elder Ling was relieved. As long as Yi Qiu stayed true to himself and recognized his flaws, he'd be fine. Qin Ting, of course, had no clue about Yi Qiu's feelings. And even if he did, he wouldn't care. On the Taiyu flying tower, Qin Ting stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his face as cold as stone. He looked like a god, radiating power. Nya came up and said respectfully, "Sir, we've arrived at Mountain City." Qin Ting gave a slight nod and said softly, "Let's go down." The Xiantian sect, a powerful sect, had a huge influence in the eastern wilderness. Naturally, they had holdings in Mountain City. The Xiantian sect's property in Mountain City served as their local headquarters. Hundreds of their experts were stationed there, with a garrison elder in charge. "Young master, that's where our Xiantian sect is based," Nya said, pointing to a huge palace in front of them. Qin Ting looked it over and nodded, satisfied. The palace was in the heart of Mountain City, with a huge campus. The Xiantian sect usually oversaw the city's affairs, a sign of their power in the eastern wilderness. Nya steered the Taiyu flying tower to land in front of the palace, waiting until Qin Ting and his people were on the ground before taking off. A group of people were already waiting for them in front of the palace. At the front was an old man in black robes, with a plain face and a calm aura as deep as the ocean. He was clearly a supernatural realm powerhouse. As soon as Qin Ting's group touched down, the old man in black stepped forward with a smile. "Nephew Qin, welcome to Mountain City. I'm Lu Feng, the resident elder here." Elder Lu was the main elder and the real leader of the Xiantian sect in Mountain City. "Elder Lu," Qin Ting thought, keeping his expression steady. He nodded slightly and said, "No need to be so formal, Elder Lu." That the Taiyu flying tower's arrival in Mountain City had already caused a sensation. Everyone knew that Qin Ting, the Xiantian sect's top disciple and young master of the Qin family, had arrived. This was a big deal. Especially for young male cultivators, Qin Ting was their idol, a legend. And for the female cultivators, Qin Ting, handsome, powerful, and from an amazing family, was their dream guy. Qin Ting's reputation in the eastern wilderness was sky high. That's why Yi Qiu was dogpiled in the market earlier. Elder Lu had everything arranged, and Qin Ting and his group quickly settled in. As a top disciple, Qin Ting naturally got the VIP treatment. His room was on the top floor of the palace. From the balcony, he could see the entire city and even the Lianyan Mountains in the distance. Elder Lu's attentiveness wasn't random. As the city's garrison elder, he seemed important, but he was far from the sect and a nobody in the power game. Qin Ting's arrival was his chance, the chance to hitch his wagon to the Qin family. Qin Ting wasn't just a top disciple, he had the whole Qin family behind him. That was huge. His friends in the sect had already told him to jump at this opportunity. Elder Lu's eyes burned with determination. He had to make this count. Chapter 19. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A few days after Qin Ting arrived in Kaoshan City, disciples from well-known sects, aristocratic families, and even respected independent cultivators all flocked to the Xiantian sect's residence to pay him a visit. The area in front of the residence buzzed with activity. After Qin Ting saw off his last visitor, Niayu approached with a serious expression. Master, he said, it seems the other disciples have gotten into some trouble. Oh. Qin Ting raised an eyebrow. Kaoshan City had plenty to offer. Most of the disciples traveling with Qin Ting were young and restless. After a few days of being cooped up at the Xiantian sect's residence, someone suggested they go out for a walk and see the sights, so, the group headed to the market, hoping to find something interesting or just enjoy a change of scenery. Seeing the Xiantian sect robes, people gave them a wide berth, not wanting to accidentally offend these young hotshots and bring trouble to their families. Su Hao, who led the group, had traveled before and was quite experienced. He smiled, pointing out various elixirs and treasures to his junior brothers and sisters. Suddenly, a girl exclaimed, "What's that?" Everyone turned to see a blood-red glow emanating from a stall ahead, casting an eerie light. Blood rainbow treasure grass. Su Hao exclaimed upon closer inspection. Blood rainbow treasure grass. The others perked up at the name. The blood rainbow treasure grass was known to strengthen vital energy and nourish the divine wheel. With its help, their chances of advancing to the divine will realm would greatly increase. For those in the Yuan Dan realm, its value was obvious. Even for Su Hao, who was already in the divine will realm, the blood rainbow treasure grass was valuable. Nourishing his divine will would undoubtedly solidify his foundation. After calming himself, Su Hao asked the stall owner, how much for this blood rainbow treasure grass. That the stall owner, recognizing the Xiantian sect disciples, secretly lamented his luck. He didn't dare overcharge them, lest he cause offense. Su Hao understood the stall owner's concern. Raising his voice, he said, "We won't take advantage of you. How about 700 spirit stones for one blood rainbow treasure grass?" That the stall owner was overjoyed. He'd been expecting to get maybe 500 spirit stones. To hear Su Hao offer 700 was a dream come true. He nodded quickly, saying, "Deal." Deal. Su Hao knew that 700 spirit stones was a bit high, but blood rainbow treasure grass was incredibly rare and valuable, practically priceless. Stumbling upon so much of it was a stroke of luck. Besides, Xiantian's sect was rich, and its disciples were never short on spirit stones, so everyone was happy. Just as they were about to make the exchange, a drawling voice interrupted, "Hold on. I want that blood rainbow treasure grass. I'll pay 800 spirit stones." That the crowd gasped, turning to see who dared to interfere with the Xiantian sect. When they saw who it was, a hush fell over the market. Another group of people approached, their auras intense, clearly skilled cultivators. These were the disciples sent by the Yuancher sect. The Yuancher sect had gained popularity recently. While not as powerful as Xiantian sect, it was a force to be reckoned with in the eastern wasteland. And it seemed to have a bone to pick with Xiantian sect. Knowing who the newcomers were, the crowd knew they were in for a show. The one who spoke was Song Tong, the leader of the Yuancher sect disciples, whom Su Hao knew. Song Tong was a rising star in the Yuancher sect, making a name for himself. Hearing this, the stall owner glanced nervously between the two groups, feeling like crying. Su Hao said coldly, "Yuancher sect, lacking in manners as always. Don't you know the meaning of first come, first served?" Song Tong smirked lazily. "Hey, isn't business all about who's got the deeper pockets?" Su Hao ignored him and glared at the stall owner. "Hurry up and make the deal." The stall owner froze, beads of sweat forming on his brow. Just as he was about to complete the transaction, Song Tong's cold, menacing voice cut through the air, "You better think carefully about who you're selling that blood rainbow treasure grass to." The stall owner froze again, wishing he could disappear. He was just a lowly cultivator who'd stumbled upon this blood rainbow treasure grass in a dangerous place. Both the Xiantian sect and the Yuancher sect were giants he couldn't afford to offend. Su Hao was furious. Song Tong, you've got a lot of nerve. Trying to pull this in front of the Shantian sect. Song Tong's face hardened. Other people may be scared of your Shantian sect, but the Yuancher sect isn't. Seeing the tension, the stall owner quickly stuffed the blood rainbow treasure grass into his storage bag and ran for his life. Su Hao didn't stop him, fixing his gaze on Song Tong. Looks like we're going to have to settle this the hard way. Chapter 20. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Song Tong smirked, I've been waiting for this. He waved his hand, and the Yuancher sect disciples behind him rushed forward with matching smirks. Waves of intense Yuanli energy filled the air, aimed directly at Su Hao and his group. For members of a holy land like the Eastern Wasteland, Song Tong and his crew sure were quick to throw down. Bystanders scrambled to get out of the way as the disciples from the two holy grounds started brawling, not wanting to get caught in the crossfire. Since both sides belonged to Holy Land factions, their cultivation levels were pretty similar, resulting in a stalemate. Neither side could really get the upper hand. Things got chaotic, real quick. The Shantian sect hadn't expected the Yuancher sect to jump into action so fast. They were caught completely off guard. For a moment, it looked like Shantian sect was getting stomped. Song Tong, laughing like a maniac, kept up the attack. His iron fists, packed with energy, relentlessly pounded Su Hao, the Shantian sect's leader, aiming for his head and face. Is that all you Shantian sect folks got? Looks like your reputation is bogus. As for being in charge of the Eastern Wilderness, that title belongs to us, the Yuancher sect. Su Hao's face darkened. He couldn't believe they'd attack right here in the city, with everyone watching. The Yuancher sect was getting bolder by the minute, daring to disrespect Shantian sect like this. Hearing Song Tong's insults, Su Hao, gritting his teeth, roared, How dare you! He unleashed his Taoist magic, hitting Song Tong with everything he had. Song Tong scoffed and retaliated with his own magic, leading to a full-blown magical duel. But as the Shantian sect disciples got their footing, the tide slowly began to turn. The insights into Taoism and cultivation that Qin Ting shared at Taiyu Faloo were paying off. The Yuancher sect members realized their opponents seemed different, better. Their Taoism had become more refined, and they were steadily losing ground. Song Tong noticed this too. How is this possible? His expression shifted drastically. He'd figured they were evenly matched with the Shantian sect. By striking first and catching them off guard, they could dominate. This would show everyone that Shantian sect disciples were no match for the Yuancher sect. That would definitely hurt Shantian sect's reputation. But now, things were going sideways. If they started the fight and lost, it would be the Yuancher sect that looked foolish. As time passed, the Yuancher sect couldn't keep up with the Shantian sect's attacks. They retreated in disbelief. Seeing this, Su Hao sneered, I said your Shantian sect's reputation was undeserved, but now you're getting your butts kicked by us. Looks like your Yuancher sect's the one with a false reputation, huh? A sect founded just tens of thousands of years ago dares to compete with Shantian sect. Song Tong was both ashamed and furious. He'd been so cocky just moments ago, only to get smacked down. It stung. Oh. A young man appeared on the road, his expression calm. Is that what you think of Yuancher disciples? Su Hao and the others were shocked, while Song Tong and his group were ecstatic. They bowed instantly. We greet senior brother Yen Han. A true disciple of the Yuancher sect. A 29-year-old with supernatural powers. A serious contender to the Yuancher sect's Holy Sun. Rumor had it that he and the Holy Sun were rivals, but being a threat to the Holy Sun spoke volumes about his power. Su Hao was terrified. He could handle Song Tong, but he didn't even have the guts to face Yen Han. Yen Han stared coldly at Su Hao and his group, asking softly, Did you just say that we Yuancher disciples have a false reputation? Su Hao gritted his teeth. Yeah, so what? You, Song Tong of the Yuancher sect, started this by provoking our Shantian sect. Your skills are subpar, but strength is all that matters. What's wrong with calling it like it is? Yen Han smiled, but the air seemed to grow even colder. That's right, strength is key. I can't argue that they're outmatched, but you can't insult my Yuancher sect. Kneel down and apologize. Yen Han roared suddenly. A massive pressure descended from the sky, crushing them. Su Hao and the others groaned. Their cultivation was suppressed, and they couldn't even use their Taoist magic. The pressure intensified, and they were about to buckle under it. Suddenly, a gentle voice echoed from the horizon. Who do you think you are, demanding an apology from Shen sect disciples? As the voice rang out, the pressure on Su Hao and the others vanished, replaced by a surge of power, because, the person, was here.